Hello, my name is Carl. This is my backyard, and welcome to Carl's Backyard. It's a beautiful day today. There is so much that I have on the to-do list. Unfortunately, what I really want to do is to sit here and watch the pond all day. In fact, so much so, that I went back up, got more food, so I can have an excuse to throw food into the fish. I'm not sure if they're gonna notice it from this side. I'm not sure how long it'll take them to notice it. Don't normally feed them from over here. This is where the bench is though. Throw it further out. I did just feed them like an hour ago, so they're probably not all that hungry. I'm sure once they realize there's food, some of them will come up and eat it. It's gonna take them a minute to realize there's food floating on the water, because like I said, they did just get fed an hour and a half ago. And this isn't where they normally get fed from. It's the sounds of St. Louis in the summer. You hear the cicadas in the background. Unless you're trying to do something, they get really loud and you can't hear yourself over them. They're really cool insects, giant bugs, really good at their job, assuming their job is to make an annoying sound. I'm not sure what else they do. I think that's it. Their entire purpose of existence is to make an annoying sound. They do also like to, they bury their larvas in the ground. I'm not sure how it gets there, but they put their larvae in the ground. And so whenever I'm working, I keep coming across these grubs, if you will. I've killed so many of those grubs, it amazes me that there's still cicadas in the area. I'm like, at this point, haven't I killed you all in your infant stage? Apparently not. I suspect some might live in my neighbor's yard. That's all they do. They'd be little grubs in the ground, and they dig holes when they climb their way out of the ground, climb up the tree, leave little dried cicada shells all over the trees, and then they make a buzzing sound. And then the cycle repeats. Some bugs just be useless. Unless, of course, you're wanting a background noise of cicada buzzing. Then I suppose they're handy. They're such pigs, they just ate like an hour and a half ago. I don't know if you can make them out, but over on the, what side is that? The right side, there's a little tiny white goldfish, one of the babies. I can see him in frame. He's over there, just off the edge of that leaf that's kind of sticking out. But yeah, he's white. He's a goldfish. He colored up, there's, what I say, 6 or 7, I forget now. I think it was 7. Baby goldfish that have survived to the point where we actually saw them in there. He's the only one that has any real color now. I think 1 or 2 of the other ones are starting to turn a little orangish, bronzish from the bellies up. But he turned white several weeks ago. He got his color in. I'm not sure if he's just an early bloomer or if potentially he's the sole survivor from an earlier spawn. Or what the deal is, but he's a really cool white. He's definitely going to be a keeper. The rest of them probably going to try and cull out here in the fall after they've colored up more. We can see their colors. Decided we're just keeping the ones with white on them. The orange and white goldfish get a stay because they're interesting. They're not just boring goldfish. And if you're looking, you're probably noticing that there might be a goldfish or 2 in there that are in fact just boring orange. They had interesting black markings on them. Mystery fish, who's now completely orange, had a black question mark. For all the world, it looks exactly like a question mark on the top of his head. And the other fish was solid black. He had stayed black, got to, you know, whatever the goldfish size is, and was still black. And we decided to keep him just for variety. We were thinking, you know, keep the ones with the white markings, keep the one with the black markings, and that'd be pretty cool. And they breed. We'd get some interesting colorations. Just anything other than the standard orange, really. But the black ones have lost all their black a year or so after we culled the rest of them. So yeah, once the rest of the goldfish start to get their color, you can see him, he's right there in the middle. I'm going to throw a giant handful of food on top of him. Let's see if he comes up. Probably not. He's not a real big fish. He doesn't have room for a lot of pellets. He's a good size. He gets. As soon as there's a pellet near him, he'll grab a hold of it. I guess they're sticks, not pellets. But he'll grab a hold of it and he'll just work on it till the other fish come off and chase him away. But really, isn't this much better than just trying to get work done? You sit here, you got the nice gurgling to one side, the waterfall to the other side, cicadas in the background. Not too hot, not too humid. Humid. It's a beautiful day for sitting at the pond and watching food get sucked into the skimmer. And here's the side of the house where I intended to put a wildflower garden. Obviously it didn't work out too well. Can't even tell where the wildflower garden's supposed to have been at this point. Wildflowers didn't really take off. I did get them in late. I did do a poor job of preparing the area. I basically sprayed some vegetation killer, let the existing stuff die, raked out whatever was loose, and then threw down the seed. I didn't really break up the soil at all. So don't have a lot of wildflowers going on. I do, however, for the record, there are some wildflowers. There's one wildflower, and one kind of wildflower. I guess there's another little one there. You got some little guys like those. Got some, grass. Over here, some other purple thing, which looks either different or bigger. It's getting more sun, so it might just be the same thing, more and bigger. But there's something purple. And there's a little 3-petaled yellow thing. I'm sure it's supposed to have more than 3 leaves. That's just how many are still on it. And if I continue to scope along here, and we got some white stuff. These logs, I'm not totally sure where these branches came from. I don't think they fell out of the tree. I think my kid brought them around, and I think my neighbor just let his dog out. There's some white flowers right there. I don't know if it's focusing or not. And here's a red one. There's a red flower. And a lot of these weeds are different than the weeds that used to be here. So there might still be some flowers. There's a little blue something. I don't see if I can get to it. I'm stepping on too much stuff. Little blue flower. And maple trees. And the neighbor's dog. He's a huge fan of mine. I'm over here on the side of the yard. So he wants to bark at me. And there's another red one. And I'm over here on the side of the house. So I've got this mimosa tree. If I zoom back, you can see it's a mimosa tree. There's a mimosa tree. And I've got these bags wrapped around it. I'm trying to air layer it so that I can basically move it somewhere else without having to move the whole tree. I've got 3 branches that I've done the air layering technique to. I don't know if you can air layer a mimosa. There's the other 2. I don't know if you can air layer them. My theory is that I kept seeing it on fruit trees. You can air layer fruit trees. Fruit trees are a softwood tree. Mimosa is kind of a softwood tree. So it seems to me like I should be able to air layer a mimosa. If that doesn't work, I'll try to dig out enough of a root to save it that way. However, this tree has got to go in the spring, one way or the other. It's getting cut down. It was here when I moved in. I've cut it down 3 or 4 times. It keeps regrowing. But this year it's got to go because where it's growing, and again, there when I moved in, it's right behind my gas meter. And it's actually, I'll come around this side. You can see it's doing quite a number in there. And it's been bothering me forever. And just cannot stay like that. So I'm trying to do the air layering thing so I can take some of these branches and start new trees off them. The thing that occurred to me as soon as I got done wrapping up the branches for air layering is that I wrapped up some fairly sizable branches. I think, was that one? Yeah, that's one. So it's a fairly sizable branch. The other one goes off this way. It's got, I don't know how well you can see, it's got blooms on it, so the branch didn't die. I know half of it looks dead after I messed with it, so it may not be, that one may not be that salvageable. The other two, still looking in pretty good shape. But again, can't stay there. This year for sure I'm going to cut it down, chop it all the way down to the ground, bury it in rock salt, and hopefully that'll keep it from coming back. That's the only thing I haven't tried so far. But again, I like the tree. I want to keep the tree. I don't want to have to go buy a new mimosa. I don't necessarily want to start one from a smaller twig. I want something decent there when I transplant it to the backyard. So I'm trying to do this air laying. But what I need to do right now, as I said, it occurred to me that I've got relatively small bags, we'll call them, for the new roots to grow in. I've got relatively small bags for some pretty good sized branches. I'm going to do this other one first. It's smaller. And now of course I'm sitting right next to an air conditioner, so I don't know how well you can hear me over all the noise. Here I am trying to focus the camera. Okay, because of the air conditioner. Due to the air conditioner, I'll go ahead and I'll move over here. We'll work on this one first. But it occurred to me that really the bags are too small. Even if that bag was completely packed full of roots, there's not going to be nearly enough roots to actually sustain the branch that is tied on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it open, peel it back a little bit, see if I can see if there's actually roots growing in there. If there are, I'm going to get some actual planting or nursery pots and transplant them into nursery pots. Not transplant them, but replace the current bagging system with some nursery pots wrapped in black plastic. Give more room for the roots to finish growing out here. And then I'll probably in the fall, as late as I can, so the roots have as much chance as possible to grow. In the late fall, I'll go ahead, I'll cut them off, transplant them to the backyard, stake them up, and cross my fingers over winter if they. Just an update here. I probably should have done this sooner. I'm showing you the root ball. There was a root ball. Was a root ball around this stem. You can see some of the roots there, still sticking up from the dirt. So I peeled back the plastic bag that's down there on the ground. Peeled back the plastic, cut a hole in the bottom of the pot, about the thickness of the branch. Slit the side of it where the duct tapes patched it back in, so that I could slip the pot around the branch and then duct taped it back closed, we'll call it. Filling the pot back up with soil now, using the Miracle Trees and Shrubs garden soil, because it says trees and this is a tree, so I figured it must be good. I'm also using, it's dripping now, you can see, filled it about halfway, and then I've got, let me see, this stuff here, I don't know how well that shows up, is Root and Grow. It's a concentrate, diluted it according to the instructions. Got it in my little watering pot there. And when it was about half full, I went ahead and poured in some of that root grow water. Let it soak in for a minute, filled it up the rest of the way. Well, most of the rest of the way I'm going to finish filling it. I'm probably going to go ahead and soak it again. That way there's still a little ledge here to catch the water. But I'll give it some more water and then wrap it all in plastic, make sure it's good and tight. You can see on the bottom here I got a strap of duct tape holding the pot, or holding the stem in about the center, holding the pot centered on the stem, whichever way you want to look at it. And I've got that funky band to the other branch over there. Probably just blew out the exposure. Let me see. So yeah, there's just a strip of duct tape there, keeping this branch from leaning too far forward now that it's got all this weight on it. I've still got the other two to do. This one here, this center one, the bigger branch, turns out when we followed it up and all the branches off of it are dead. So I'm half and half, undecided. I'm undecided. I don't know why I say I'm half and half. I'm undecided on it. Whether I'm just going to cut it down, leave it there and worry about it later, which is the most likely. Or I could, I've got the pot for it, and it's got a bunch of new shoots here. You can see right underneath where I made the cuts. So I could start a new graft further down, but not a graft, a layer thingy. But I'm not sure that I want to. I think I've got two, at least one viable. I'm assuming the other one is viable and has a root ball going. So if I get those two and I'm able to transplant them, that gives me 2 trunks. I'll get them real close together, so it'll be like one tree. I think the duct tape on my strap here might be giving out, so I'm going to put stuff down and not reattach, but make sure that strap's secure. Probably put another strand of duct tape in there, because right now it's just the one piece of duct tape. So I'm going to go ahead and add a second piece of duct tape just to make sure that branch doesn't drop and hit me in the head. And then, like I said, I'll go ahead and water that down, finish filling it up, wrap it on a black trash bag, and call it good until fall. And there is the finished pot. I checked the other 2 spots. Like I said, this one is dead. The rest of the branch above it is dead anyways. I don't feel like dealing with it, so I'm just going to leave it for now. And the one over here, if you can still hear me, I did cut that one open, and it has no roots going on. And that branch, I'd call it 50-50, maybe 40-60 for still being alive. I don't know how well you can see it up against everything else. But there's a lot of dead branches coming off of it. So I'm basically down to this graft here, but it did have good roots. I wish I'd shown you. I was going to show you the next one, but the next one didn't have roots. So yeah, it has good root structure. The plastic bag was full of roots. So I did get those moved into like a pot, so there's enough room for enough roots to grow to actually keep the plants alive, or the branch alive, when I cut it off the main tree in another 3 or so months, maybe somewhere in that range. But yeah, gives it enough room to grow. I did give it some root growth feed, topped off the soil. I didn't wrap it in a plastic bag. It occurred to me the reason for wrapping in a plastic bag is basically to trick it into growing the roots. It's got the roots now, I just need to encourage them to grow, and roots grow just fine in a pot. So I just put some weed fabric over it, kind of keep everything in. When it rains, it'll get the moisture from that. The drain holes in the bottom are all open, and of course there's that center spot, the hole that I added, and the slice that I cut. I don't know how well the duct tape's going to hold water. But yeah, going to give that a couple of months, and we'll cut it off and put it in the ground, and hopefully in the spring it'll still be alive.